Okay, now that we've looked at this and we've looked at these first three letters, I want to point out one pronunciation first that this name cannot be, but you've probably seen it proposed. And that is Y-A-H-S-H-U-A, Yahshua. Now, you'll see some people spell this name Yahshua and they will put in Hebrew YaHuWaH Shin Wal Ayin or YaHuWaH Shin Ayin, which in the Strong's Concordance is under the entry for Yahushua. Okay, it's all one name. If they spell it this way, understand they are leaving out the letter Wa. Again, the letter Wa never makes the W sound. It makes the U sound. Sometimes you will see us transliterate this into English as UW to emphasize the ending of the syllable and the emphasis on the U sound. But it is never just a consonant. It is either a vowel or a vowel consonant. Okay? So we know that it's not Yahushua. That's the reason that Yahweh people, you'll either hear them say Yahshua or Yahushua, the true name, Yahushua, because they know, again, about the Yahu on the beginning of their pronunciation. It should be there, but they're rushing through their own pronunciation. So if they spell it any other way than this, though, there is no Yad Ha Shin Wal Ayin. If you see somebody, that would say Yahshua. But if you see somebody spell it that way, they are misleading you, they're misguiding you, and I pray that you will please inform them that they are misguided on this subject, because the name is never written that way. So it is not Yahshua. Another thing is, the letter Wa is never silent. I had someone ask me about the name Yahshua. They said, well, can you prove to me through Hebrew grammar rules that the name is not Yahshua, because I heard that the Wa should be silent. So I asked them, can you show me an example of the Wa being silent at all, anywhere in the name? Much less in the name YaHuWaH or YaHuWaH appearing on the name. It's never silent. That letter is never silent. If you're hearing that, that is just from individuals who want to hold on to things that are not true. They're unstable, and these are fabrications, they're lies and they're fables. To be very upfront. Now, I want to look at the form Yeshua, which you have probably heard before. Yeshua actually appears in Scripture. It's Yad Shin Wal Ayin. This is a shortened form of the full name Yahushua, and how we know this is in the book of Ezra and Nehemiah. Ezra makes mention of Yahushua, the same man that's mentioned in Zechariah, around the same time period. The same man who they said has the name of the branch is called in Nehemiah and Ezra, which was originally one book, they call him Yeshua. 30 times in Scriptures it is spelled Yad Shin Wal Ayin. And you see that the Wal is in this form. Okay? That'll be important in a few minutes. But what I want you to see here is that the Yad, again, can make the Yah sound. So this could be Yahshua. This could be Yahshua. This is the only form that could be pronounced Yahshua. And again, this, we know that Yahshua is still not acceptable, because this is pointing to a man who we see in another book written around the same time frame, the book of Zechariah. His name is Yahushua. Okay, but however, we can't just throw this away. This is important. This is going to be important for other arguments that are manifesting against the name of Yahushua, because this shows us Yahushua, and it shows us the last three letters, Shin Wal Ayin, which is going to be important in a moment. But let's look at Yeshua. Let's look at what it says it means. Again, it appears 30 times in the Masoretic text. All right? It is the Hebrew Strong's number H3443. The root word, it says it comes from 3091, and you see Yad Ha Wal Shin Wal Ayin, the full spelling of Yahushua. So the root word is Yahushua. Okay? And you'll find this in your King James Version translated as Jeshua. And it means that he is saved. Now, something I want to point out about this is, it is said that this is an Aramaic version of his name. Well, in Aramaic, there are two words that are predominantly used for salvation. The first one is Purkana, and the other one is Hayah. Now, Purkana and Hayah have no ties to the etymological word or name Yeshua. So Yeshua, it needs to be noted that Yeshua is of Hebrew origin. Now the reason I say this is because the same individuals who come before you and say that Yeshua is Aramaic, these same individuals say that Hebrew or Hebraic is the root of all languages. That all languages stem from the Hebrew language. And they'll point to various words and various things to prove their point. But for some odd reason, these same individuals speak out of the other side of their mouth when it comes to this form. And I'm telling you that this form is important. It's going to be important for looking at the true name of Yahushua. And it shows us something. This form never appears any other way. It's always Yad, Shin, Wal, Ayin. The letter Wal is never dropped. You never find him called Yasha. Well, what you find is him called Yeshua, which I told you earlier could be pronounced Yahshua because this was originally wrote without vowel points. Okay? So, with that in consideration, now I want to look at the passive participle of the word Yasha, which is H3444. This word is Yeshua, spelled Yad, Shin, Wal, Ayin, Ha. Now, variations will either be spelled with a ta instead of the ha, which will make the word plural. It's like adding an S to an English word. And then there's a poetic form, Yeshua Taka. And those are the only forms that you find. Yeshua, Yeshuat, and Yeshua Taka. And again, that's more likely Yahshua, because the root word Yasha has the Ya sound. So more likely it's Yahshua. Alright? But we know that this is the true form that the name comes from, because when they shorten down the name to what they say is Yeshua, which I said is Yahshua, when they shorten it down to that, what they did was they took off the root Yahuwah. They took off Yahu. They leave you with Yeshua. But it gives you, this is a stepping stone of information. You have to use all these pieces of the puzzle to see the whole. Now, when we look at the name Yeshua, of the word Yeshua rather, H3444, it means salvation, deliverance, welfare, prosperity, deliverance, salvation by Elohim, victory, and then it tells you it's the passive participle of the primitive root word Yasha. Now, this gets important that you follow this very carefully. I want you to see H3091. You see the full and effective spelling. You see that it says in this, it says that it comes from Yahuwah's name, H3068, and Yasha, H3467. Now, since we see in the full spelling, we see the wall appearing in Shua, and we know that this name comes from Yasha, one has to understand that this is implying that it comes from the passive participle of Yasha, which is that word H3444, Yeshua, which means salvation and deliverance, that appears in the Tanakh. And you hear some people argue against this, and they say, well, that is a feminine word, because the Tanakh, the Strong's Concordance says that H3444, because it ends in a ha, it is feminine. But the name of Yahuwah also ends in a ha. We know that's not feminine. It's not a feminine name. But not only that, but I want to give you an example in the Hebrew language. See, these men who use these arguments, most of them don't really study Hebrew at all. Because if they did, they would know that these gender rules, they're hard to pin down. I'll give you an example of a very basic word that you probably even heard. It's the word Ab. Ab in Hebrew, Hebraic, means father. When you want to make something plural in Hebrew, you attach either a masculine or a feminine ending. The masculine plural form would be im on the end of a word, as in aluaim. Alright? And the feminine plural is ot. When you see that on Torah, we see the plural form is Torot. So you would think that the name ab, or the word ab rather, would in plural form be abim, but it's not, it's abot. They put on a feminine plural form. So I want you to understand that these feminine and plural rules that people try to pull out of their hats and act like they know what they're talking about because they're studying the Strong's Concordance, they don't know what they're talking about. Because naturally, these things do not hold up to their own rules. Okay, so I just wanted to get that out of the way.